The giant space station called Harmony Prime floated quietly around the gas planet, Kepler 442b. Inside its metal walls, something important was about to happen. For the first time in 300 years, every alien race in the galaxy had been called to one place. They were here to talk about humans. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez walked through the long corridors of the station. Her boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. Behind her walked Colonel Jake Murphy, a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. Next to him was Lisa Park, the best negotiator Earth had ever trained. The three humans looked very small compared to the alien groups they passed. The main meeting room was huge. 47 different alien races had sent their leaders here. The room buzzed with strange sounds as the aliens talked to each other in their own languages. Some clicked their teeth. Others made musical sounds. A few glowed with different colors to show their feelings. At the front of the room sat the High Chancellor. His name was Veltar, and his body was made of living crystal that caught the light and threw it around the room. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "We are here today to discuss the human problem," Veltar announced. His crystal body flashed red with anger. "The humans have broken our laws. They have taken star systems that do not belong to them. They have built weapons when we told them to make peace." A large reptile creature stood up. This was Hisakal, and he looked like a giant lizard that walked on two legs. His yellow eyes stared at the humans as he read the charges against them. "The humans have taken 17 star systems without asking," Hisakal said, his forked tongue flicking out as he spoke. "They have broken the sacred law that says no race should interfere with others. Worst of all, they have built war machines on their border worlds when the peace treaty says they should not." Elena sat very still and listened. She did not show any feelings on her face. Around her, alien after alien stood up to complain about humans. The queen of the insect people clicked her sharp mouthparts together. "The humans destroy our sacred space rocks to steal the metals inside," she buzzed angrily. "They care nothing for what is holy to us." A creature made of pure light flickered as it spoke. "The humans poison the cosmic harmony with their violent ways," it said in a voice like singing. "They bring war where there should be peace." One by one, the aliens told their stories. They said humans were greedy. They said humans were violent. They said humans could not be trusted to follow the galaxy's laws. Finally, Veltar's crystal body turned toward Elena. "Human ambassador, you have heard what your people are accused of. What do you say to these charges?" Elena stood up slowly. She was not very tall, but something about her made the huge room go quiet. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. "High Chancellor, we came to this galaxy looking for friends," she began. "We found rules that made no sense. You say we took 17 star systems, but these systems had no life in them. They were empty space that no one wanted until we found valuable things there." She turned to look at the insect queen. "You say we destroyed your sacred asteroids, but these were dead rocks floating in space. We asked if anyone claimed them. No one answered. We waited 2 years before we began mining." The light creature flickered brighter, but Elena continued. "You say we built weapons when we promised peace, but pirates attacked our trade ships for 2 years. We asked this council for help. You did nothing, so we protected ourselves." Colonel Murphy stepped forward. His voice was harder than Elena's. "We sent 43 requests for help with the pirate problem. 43 times we were told to be patient. Our people died while you talked about cosmic harmony." Lisa Park opened a datapad and began reading numbers. "In the past 5 years, human trade ships have carried 60% of all goods between star systems. Human technology has improved life for 38 different races. Human doctors have saved millions of alien lives from diseases their own people could not cure." Elena looked around the room at all the alien faces. Some looked angry. Some looked worried. A few looked ashamed. "We came here hoping to work together," Elena said. "Instead, you treat us like children who cannot be trusted. You make laws about us without asking what we think. You ignore us when we ask for help, then blame us when we help ourselves." The room was very quiet now. Even the aliens who had been making noise had stopped. Elena took a deep breath. The Terran Federation has made a decision. We no longer accept the authority of this Galactic Peace Council. We withdraw from all treaties and agreements. From this moment, humanity will make its own path among the stars. The room exploded into chaos. Aliens began shouting in dozens of different languages. Some stood up so fast they knocked over their chairs. Others began glowing with bright, angry colors. Veltar's crystal body flashed like lightning as he tried to restore order. "You cannot do this," he shouted. "No race has ever left the council. This is impossible." But Elena was already walking toward the door. Jake and Lisa followed her. Behind them, the aliens continued to shout and argue. Some demanded that the humans be arrested. Others wanted to know what this meant for their trade agreements. As the three humans reached the door, Elena turned back one last time. Her voice cut through all the noise. "You wanted to solve the human problem," she said. "Congratulations, you no longer have one." The door closed behind them with a soft hiss. Inside the great chamber, 47 alien races stared at each other, in shock. For the first time in galactic history, someone had said no to the Peace Council and walked away. None of them understood yet what they had just lost. 3 days after the humans walked away, everything started to fall apart. On the crystal world of Christos, High Chancellor Veltar sat in his tower made of living diamond. His crystal body flickered with worry as bad news came in from every corner of the galaxy. Emergency meetings had been going on for 3 days straight. No one could sleep. No one knew what to do. The first problem came from space. Human cargo ships had been carrying goods between the stars for decades. These ships moved food, medicine, tools, and materials that kept entire worlds alive. But now, they were gone. Captain Nina Brooks was flying her big cargo ship called Fortune's Favor when she got the message from Earth. All human ships were ordered to come home immediately. She was supposed to deliver medical supplies to the insect people, but instead she sent them a final message. "Sorry, friends," she said into her radio. "This has been good business, but Earth is calling us back. Take care of yourselves." Her ship turned around and jumped into hyperspace, leaving the insect world without the medicine they needed to fight a deadly plague. This same thing happened all over the galaxy. Human ships just disappeared overnight. Planets that depended on human food shipments began to run out of supplies. Worlds that needed human-made computer parts found their factories shutting down. On the industrial planet Mechanus Prime, a lizard creature named Scarmon walked through his empty factory. Scarmon had built the biggest manufacturing center in the galaxy. His factory made spaceships, computers, and weapons for dozens of alien races. But now the assembly lines were silent. The problem was simple but terrible. 60% of the advanced parts his factory used came from human suppliers. The rare metals that powered their technology came from human asteroid mines. Without these materials, his factory was just an empty building full of useless machines. Scarmon's workers, thousands of reptile people, stood around looking confused. They had jobs yesterday. Today they had nothing to do. The lizard boss realized that his entire civilization depended on humans, and he had never even thought about it before. Meanwhile, Ambassador Chen Wei was still on Harmony Prime. Elena had left her behind to watch what happened next. Chen hid in the shadows and listened as the alien leaders panicked. "How did this happen so fast?" cried the queen of the insect people. Her hive was already fighting disease without human medicine. "We never realized how much we needed them," admitted a creature made of flowing water. His people's underwater cities were built with human technology that was now failing. The light beings called Luminari were having the worst problems of all. They were proud of their advanced technology that let them travel between dimensions. But their machines needed special crystals that only humans knew how to make. Without these crystals, their dimensional ships were crashing back into normal space. In the first week after the humans left, something even worse happened. Space pirates, who had been quiet for years, suddenly became bold again. They knew that human warships were no longer patrolling the trade routes. Colonel Jake Murphy was busy organizing the biggest military retreat in galactic history. 300 human warships were coming home from their patrol stations. These ships had been protecting alien trade routes and keeping pirates away from peaceful worlds. The pirates struck fast. In just 7 days, pirate attacks increased by 400%. Cargo ships were robbed, passenger liners were attacked. Some small colonies were raided for slaves and supplies. The Crystal People tried to send their own ships to fight the pirates, but it was a disaster. Their crystal ships were beautiful but fragile. The pirates had newer weapons, many of them stolen from human designs. The crystal ships shattered like glass when they tried to fight. The Lizard People were even worse at space combat. They were great soldiers on the ground, but they had never learned to fight in three-dimensional space. Their ships moved like they were crawling instead of flying. The pirates ran circles around them. After 2 weeks of chaos, several smaller, alien races began sending secret messages to Earth. They did not want the Peace Council to know, but they were desperate. They begged the humans to come back and protect them. A race of peaceful plant people sent this message. "Please, we cannot defend ourselves. The pirates took our children. Help us." The bird-like aviars, who had always been neutral, sent their own plea. "We were wrong to stay silent in the council. We need human protection. What must we do?" Ambassador Chen collected all these secret messages and sent them back to Earth. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. They had thought humans were the problem. Now they were discovering that humans had been the solution to many problems they did not even know they had. The great galactic civilization that had existed for thousands of years was crumbling in just 2 weeks. All because one species had decided they had enough of being treated badly. On Earth, President Maria Santos read Chen's reports with a mixture of sadness and satisfaction. The aliens were finally understanding what humans had been trying to tell them for years. But the question remained: should humanity help fix the mess or let the galaxy learn its lesson the hard way? 2 months after humanity's withdrawal, the Galactic Peace Council faces its worst crisis in recorded history. The galaxy teeters on the edge of economic collapse and military chaos. High Chancellor Veltar, now visibly cracked from stress, authorizes the formation of the Emergency Response Coalition. The coalition's first act is to attempt replacing human infrastructure with native alternatives. The Kythera Queenspeaker assigns 10,000 drones to reverse engineer human hyperdrive technology. The Luminary Council pools their dimensional knowledge to create alternative trade routes. The Sauroch Confederation begins crash programs to develop new mining techniques. Every attempt fails spectacularly. The Kythera drones can replicate human technology, but cannot understand the underlying principles that make it work efficiently. Their reverse-engineered hyperdrives consume 3 times the fuel and have a 30% failure rate. The Luminary's dimensional shortcuts collapse under the stress of heavy cargo shipments, stranding vessels in empty space. The Sauroch mining operations yield a fraction of human efficiency, while causing massive environmental damage. General Rick Stone, now commander of all human forces, receives desperate communication attempts from former allies. The Zephyrian military attaché Captain Zareth sends encrypted messages pleading for continued cooperation against the rising pirate threat. The Kythera trade delegation offers increasingly generous terms for resumed commerce. Even the proud Luminari hint at reconsidering their position on human expansion. On Earth, President Maria Santos convenes her cabinet to discuss the galaxy's deteriorating situation. Defense Secretary Tom Bradley presents intelligence reports showing the complete breakdown of galactic civilization. Entire sectors have reverted to subsistence economies. 3 minor species face extinction as their technology-dependent societies collapse without human support. The breaking point comes when the hegemony of Krovar, a militaristic species that had remained neutral, begins expanding aggressively into the power vacuum. Their war fleets, equipped with pre-human technology but driven by ruthless efficiency, start conquering weakened Council worlds. The very peace the Council claimed to protect crumbles as member species turn on each other in desperation. Admiral Susan Clark, monitoring galactic communications from the human listening post on Luna, reports that over half the Council species are now engaged in some form of armed conflict. The Zephyrian crystal worlds face invasion. The Kythera hive ships fight running battles against Krovar dreadnoughts. The Luminari have retreated to their dimensional refuge, abandoning their physical colonies. President Santos realizes that humanity holds the key to galactic stability, but the question remains, should they intervene to save the civilization that rejected them? 6 months after the humans left, the galaxy was on fire. The Krovar war machine rolled across star system after star system like a black tide. Their gray ships with glowing red engines brought death wherever they went. Behind them, they left, only slaves in burning worlds. High Chancellor Veltar was barely alive. His crystal body was so cracked that light leaked through the breaks. He sat in what remained of Harmony Prime, which had been damaged in a Krovar raid. Around him, the few surviving alien leaders looked like broken toys. Queen Kriktar of the insect people had lost half her hive ships. Her once proud swarm was scattered across space, hiding from Krovar hunters. The Luminari had retreated so far into other dimensions that no one knew if they still existed. Even the tough lizard people were losing ground to Krovar ground forces. In desperation, Veltar did something no Peace Council leader had ever done before. He sent a message directly to Earth, begging for help. The message reached President Maria Santos while she was eating breakfast with her family. She read it twice, then called an emergency meeting. Within an hour, her entire government was gathered in the war room. They want to negotiate, she told her advisors. Veltar is offering to dissolve the Peace Council and accept human leadership, if we save them from the Krovar. Defense Secretary Tom Bradley laughed, but there was no humor in it. 6 months ago, they called us dangerous warmongers. Now they want us to be their saviors. The situation has changed, said Secretary of State Ann Williams. If we let the Krovar win, Earth becomes their next target. We'll be fighting them eventually anyway. Admiral Susan Clark spread holographic star maps across the table. Good news is we've been preparing for this. Operation Lighthouse has been moving pieces into position for 3 months. Maria Santos nodded. She had authorized the operation shortly after the Krovar attacks began. While the galaxy burned, human fleets had been quietly surrounding Krovar space like a net closing around a fish. How long before we're ready? She asked. We're ready now, Admiral Clark replied. 300 ships in position. The Krovar don't even know we're there. The meeting was short. Everyone knew what had to be done. Humanity would save the galaxy, but this time they would do it on their own terms. 3 days later, a small human ship approached Harmony Prime. On board were Elena Rodriguez, now called Secretary of Interstellar Affairs, General Jake Murphy, and Admiral Clark. They came to negotiate, but everyone knew who held all the power now. The alien delegation that met them was pathetic. Veltar could barely stand. His crystal body was held together with metal supports. Queen Kriktar's once beautiful insect form was covered in scars from battle. Even the proud water beings looked dried up and defeated. Elena sat across from them, in the same meeting room where she had been accused 6 months ago, but this time, she was the one making demands. The Galactic Peace Council will be dissolved, she stated calmly. In its place, we will create the Terran Galactic Cooperative, with headquarters on Earth. All major decisions will require human approval. Veltar's cracked voice whispered a question. What guarantee do we have that humans will treat us fairly? General Murphy answered by activating a holographic display. It showed the positions of human war fleets around Krovar territory. While you were arguing about fairness, we were preparing to save your lives. 300 human ships are ready to stop the Krovar advance. We've never wanted to rule you, Elena explained. We just wanted to be treated as equals. You made that impossible, so now we'll be your leaders instead. The negotiations took 2 days, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Treaty of New Geneva was signed aboard the human flagship UES Sovereign. Humanity became the protector and leader of galactic civilization, not through conquest, but because they were the only ones capable of doing the job. The war against the Krovar began immediately. Admiral Clark led the human fleet in the largest space battle in galactic history. The Battle of Krovar Prime lasted 3 days and showed the galaxy what human military power could really do. The Krovar had been winning against broken alien fleets, but human ships were different. They moved like sharks through space, fast and deadly. Their weapons hit targets from distances the Krovar could not even see. Their tactics were planned by minds that understood war in 3 dimensions. Warlord Grakthar watched his mighty fleet being destroyed from his flagship. The humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. They did not just attack. They surrounded. They cut off escape routes. They turned his own tactics against him. The battle ended when human marines stormed Grakthar's ship. The Krovar warlord, who had seemed unstoppable, surrendered when he realized his entire fleet was gone, and more human ships were arriving every hour. The Krovar Empire collapsed in a single day. Without their fleets, their conquered worlds rebelled. The slaves they had taken rose up and drove out their masters. The galaxy began to heal. 5 years later, Elena Rodriguez stood in a new meeting chamber on New Geneva Station, built in orbit around Earth. She was now Director General of the Terran Galactic Cooperative, the most powerful person in the galaxy. The chamber was full of alien representatives, but the atmosphere was completely different from the old Peace Council meetings. These aliens came to work with humans, not to judge them. They brought problems and asked for solutions. They offered resources and asked for protection. 63 different species now belonged to the cooperative. Some were old enemies who had learned to respect human leadership. Others were new races who had been discovered during the expansion that followed the Krovar War. General Jake Murphy, now in charge of all galactic security, gave Elena his daily report. "Piracy is down to almost nothing," he said with satisfaction. "Trade volume is twice what it was before the crisis. 3 new colonies were established this month." Elena smiled as she looked out at the stars. The galaxy was not perfect, but it was peaceful and growing. Humans had learned an important lesson during those 6 months of chaos. Sometimes the best way to prove your worth is to walk away and let others discover what they have lost. The aliens had learned an even more important lesson. Leadership was not about making speeches or passing laws. It was about taking responsibility and getting things done. And in that department, nobody did it better than humans. The galaxy was finally in good hands.